everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my review on the Wet n Wild Mega Cushion Foundation. This has actually been out for a while and I've only just now been able to get around to filming my review video for it, so I'm gonna let you guys know what I think about this and also share with you guys like how I like to apply this. Also, last spring they came out with their cushion correctors, so I have all the colors that they have. There is a bronzer, a highlighter, there is a mint, a lavender, I think a yellow, and like a peach kind of cushion. So I have a whole video dedicated to these as well. If you are interested in seeing those, I'll have those linked below as well. So this is called the Mega Cushion Foundation. It has SPF 15. I think I got mine from Walmart and I believe it was like $7, I think. On Wet n Wild's website they have it listed for like $8.99, so I can't remember if I paid $7 or $8 for it at Walmart. It was one of those two. But you get 15 grams of product in this one, or 0.52 ounce. So that's actually like half the amount as you would get in like a usual like liquid foundation. Those typically come in about an ounce. So for this being like, you know, $8 or $9 for half an ounce, that makes it about $20 for like a full regular ounce, which actually sounds a lot more expensive than just like $8. So the claims on this one, based on the box, it says it is a luminous, lightweight, and buildable hydrating formula, and it also contains natural coconut derivative. I don't really know what that's supposed to do, what it's supposed to mean, but it sounds nice. And it also says that it is cruelty-free and not tested on animals. So I'm wearing the foundation right now, and I must say that this is very similar to a lot of other cushion foundations I've tried. I've only tried 3 other ones, and I have videos reviewing every single one of these, so if you're interested in it, I'll have them linked below. But the other 3 that I have is the Missha Magic Cushion Foundation, I have the Etude Airfoot Cushion Foundation, and then I also have the Etude House Any Cushion Foundation. So size-wise of the packaging, I find that these are pretty standard size for cushion foundations. When you open it up, it has the mirror inside. I actually still have the little protector on here. I love peeling these off so much. Yes, I love peeling those off. So then also here there is the little Wet n Wild cushion puff that it rests in, and then when you open it up, this is of course the foundation. I always find that cushion foundations look so much darker with the sponge in there than like how they actually come off on the skin, so don't let that fool you if you like open one up and you're like, oh my god, that's not the right color. You're never gonna know what the color is until you actually apply it, so that's just one thing. Don't freak out if it looks too dark at first. Another thing about this cushion, I feel like it doesn't really have much of like a perceivable scent or perfuming to it at all. It does have like a slight scent, but I feel like that's just like the product itself, not any added fragrance. And of course, while I'm wearing this, I don't smell any product, so if you're sensitive to fragrancing, I find that this doesn't really, at least to me, have any like noticeable fragrance. One thing that's a little bit different from the other cushion foundations I have about this one that I really like is that the actual back, you can actually see like how much foundation is in that, so you can kind of get an idea of when it starts to run low. So I'm actually really glad that that is like that. All my other ones don't really have anything like that. It's just like the back of the actual package, so I like that you can actually see how much product is in there, because another thing about cushion foundations, it's always kind of hard to tell when it starts to like run out. So this foundation line also has 8 shades, which again is still not great, but compared to typical like Korean cushion brands and stuff like that, that is like a huge improvement, because usually there's like 2 colors in a lot of Korean brands. It's like color 21 and color 23. I wear 21, and you know, if you don't fit those 2 very light colors, it's probably not going to work for you. If you have deeper skin tones, I would recommend the Wet n Wild one. You're just going to have better luck with the color range, because it just truly does not exist in a lot of Korean brands. There are some brands that do have a wider range of like cushion foundations and things like that, but those are just fewer and far in between, and they also tend to be a little bit more expensive. I'll do a quick kind of like color swatch comparison so you can kind of get the idea of what this color Light Ivory looks against all these colors in the Korean brands. Okay, so these are the cushion foundations. This first one here is the Wet n Wild Cushion in Light Ivory. This next one is the Etude House Any Cushion. Next is the Etude Airfoot Foundation. And finally is the Missha Magic Cushion in the color 21. So also from swatching these four, I can tell that the two that have like the least amount of dewiness, now all four of these are very dewy foundations. The two least dewy ones is the Wet n Wild one and the Etude House one. The other two are definitely a lot more of that wet kind of look to the skin, so I guess that just kind of depends if you like that kind of look. I definitely like the look of it, but I don't like the feeling of it because I find that the wetter they feel, or the wetter they look, the wetter they are, and so those tend to kind of shift around a bit. However, the Wet n Wild one I think has a good balance of the dewiness, but also being able to set down a bit so it's not like gonna just slip and slide everywhere. And I also like to set a lot of my cushion foundations with a light powder as well, just because I don't want it to just go everywhere. So from swatching those foundations, I can tell that the Wet n Wild one has a very similar texture to the Etude Air Fit cushion foundation and the Missha Magic cushion. Those two have a more kind of really liquidy, wet, almost like water-like kind of texture to it. It's very, very thin, very easy to build up and apply. The Etude Any cushion, that one is a slightly thicker, more kind of like a creamy formula. It also has a bit more of that like really moisture kind of feeling to it, but that one I would say is definitely the thickest out of all four of these cushions. So now I'll get into the demo portion. So first I'm going to use my base. This is the Halika Sweet Cotton Pore Cover Base. This one is more of like a pore filling base, so I'm going to use that. I like to use pore filling primers, especially if I'm doing like a cushion foundation, just because I find that cushion foundations can be so light in texture. They can just kind of sink into the pores a lot easier. So I'm using the lightest color. This one is 106A Light Ivory. So these are actually not my favorite kind of like ways to apply these cushion foundations. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll end up actually using my beauty sponge and just dipping into that and using it. But I want to show you first how it looks when I apply it with the sponge that it comes with. So this is what the foundation looks like with like kind of one layer of it with using the actual little sponges that these come with. So the first thing I noticed that I really don't like about pretty much all cushion foundations is like using these types of sponges to apply it to the face. Number one, I feel like it takes me like twice as long to apply my foundation with something like this. And then I also don't like that this is just such a hard thing for like me to get around like in kind of like that crease in my nose here and kind of under my eyes. I find that these are just a little bit awkward of like a sponge to use. So this I would say is a very like kind of natural finish to my skin. It, you know, still looks like my skin. You can still see some like little imperfections and things like that. I'm gonna do another layer with my beauty sponge and see how I like that applied. I think it's definitely a lot faster to use like this type of sponge and just directly push into the product and then put that on my skin. I feel like that is just a million times easier, faster, you know, better blended in, and of course I can get around in my nose kind of area like that I was talking about and under my eyes. So this is with like the second layer kind of applied. I really like the way that this foundation looks. It looks very natural, but just like a little bit more perfected skin without it being super over the top and like really heavy or mask-like, so I like that. This one I also like that it's a little less kind of dewy than the other Korean cushions that I've tried. So some of those like are very, very dewy and wet feeling. This one I find it still has a very little bit of that wet kind of like it will never truly kind of dry feeling. So that's why I definitely tend to like using these with a little bit of a powder just to make them stay longer. So really quickly I'm just going to apply my concealer. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of that under my eyes here. And then I'm just going to blend that in with my beauty sponge. And so that is it with the concealer all blended in. So now I'm going to set my under eyes and just a little bit around my face with the e.l.f. HD setting powder. And again, I just like to use my sponge for that and just press it into the skin. I try to keep this really light on the rest of the skin because I do like that kind of slightly dewy look to the skin, and I don't want to over powder it and just dry out my skin. But I definitely feel like with most powder or cushion foundations rather, I really have to just set it just a little bit, because even though I have really dry skin and I like that moisture, it's just too like slippery almost, you know, it kind of just tends to move too easily, so that's why I just have to set it just a little bit. So I'm gonna finish the rest of my face and come back and share with you guys my overall thoughts on this product. So compared to the other ones that I have, I find that this is again a very extremely similar kind of formula. The two places that I find that this foundation tends to wear off this fastest for me, and honestly I don't really find it to like wear off any noticeably different than like just any other foundations that I wear, but always is around my nose here. That's where it tends to kind of break down a bit, and then also sometimes around on my chin, but usually like my forehead, cheeks, and things like that are typically pretty good, unless I was like talking on the phone and I like leaned up against something or, you know, anything like that. But I always try to be a little bit more cautious of like touching things with my face or touching my face itself when I wear cushion foundations, just because they can have a little bit more tendency to transfer since they are that wetter kind of lighter texture. So my thoughts on this cushion foundation, I find it to be very similar to the other three Korean ones that I have. Again, I think it's most similar to the Missha Magic Cushion and the Up You Air Fit. I found that these are like the closest in texture to this one. Again, the Etude House Any Cushion one, this one is a little bit thicker and a little more creamier than the other three. As far as how it looks and applies on the skin, I like it. I think that it works pretty well for me. I think the color works as well. Again, there's not really that many colors to choose from in this line, but there are going to be more colors in this one versus like a traditional Korean brand. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And if you have a deeper skin tone, you're probably going to have a better luck with this brand rather than other actual Korean brands. Also, if you want to try a cushion foundation but you don't want to like, you know, have to do with international shipping or buy from like other websites or anything, I think that this is a good alternative if you've never tried a cushion foundation and you kind of like want to know what they're about. As far as the price of it, I feel like that's kind of in line with cushions. This one I think I paid around $12 for, and that was like from Rose Shop, so those were a little more discounted prices anyway. The AirFit one I think was around $6, and for the Missha Magic Cushion I got like a duo pack of it for, I can't remember the price, but I think it came out to being like around $7 a piece. So as far as the price of it, I find it to be pretty much in line with the other cushions that I've already purchased. And there are some brands that like will charge like $30 for like a cushion foundation. So I mean, the prices just kind of vary based on the brand and I guess like the luxury quality of it. So as far as like the price of the cushion, I find that's not bad. Again, if you do like think that you're getting half an ounce of this, and if you were to get like a full ounce, it would be about 20-ish bucks, which sounds like a lot for a foundation, especially from the drugstore, but that's just something to keep in mind. And I've been using this on and off for like about a month and a half now, so I kind of really know what I think about this product. For me, I think it's kind of like one of my favorites of the cushion foundations. If I had to rank them, I would probably say I like this one the most. Next is probably the Missha Moisture one. I want to try the coverage one because this one is just a little slippery, but I do like this one. Next I'd probably say is the Air Fit, and then finally is the Any Cushion. So if I were gonna rank them, that's how I would rank them. I think cushion foundations are great for like everyday kind of makeup because they are so light and buildable. You can really, you know, like let your skin kind of breathe. I don't feel like I have this like mask on my face. I feel like it's nicer in the summertime, especially if you're like gonna be sweating a lot, just for like a nice little bit of coverage. And I also think it works nice for like full makeup days too. So I'm like wearing like full, you know, kind of makeup right now, and I find that it looks nice. It doesn't look like I have like super done up face, but then like super like almost natural skin. I find that it just works really nicely. You can build it up. I find that probably about 2 layers is kind of like the max coverage you're gonna get. You're not gonna be able to like super cover tattoos or like, you know, any like really hardcore blemishes with this, but I find that just for everyday makeup wear, I think it works pretty well. So that is it for my Wet n Wild Mega Cushion review. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below, and until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.